The sea was calm that morning when Charles Darwin stepped onto the rocky shores of the Galapagos Islands. Strange creatures wandered around him. Giant tortoises, finches with peculiar beaks, lizards that swam in the ocean. They looked familiar, yet slightly different, as if shaped by invisible hands over ages. He watched them in silence, the sun burning overhead, and a question began to whisper in his mind. What if life changes? What if it adapts? That question refused to leave him. During long nights aboard the Beagle, while waves struck the hull, Darwin filled his notebooks with sketches and thoughts. Each observation unraveled another mystery. Bones of extinct animals that resembled living ones, birds that varied from island to island, creatures that seemed molded by their surroundings. The more he saw, the more he doubted the perfect, unchanging order he had been taught. Back in England, the world was still firm in its faith. Every creature, it was said, had been created exactly as it appeared, perfect and eternal. But Darwin could no longer see it that way. Nature, he realized, was not fixed. It was a battlefield and a nursery, full of death and birth, competition and change. Life was not designed. It evolved. He worked in secret for years, fearing what might happen if his idea escaped. His wife, Emma, was deeply religious, and sometimes he saw the quiet worry in her eyes when he spoke of his studies. He loved her too much to hurt her faith. Yet the truth pressed on him like a storm, the truth that species, including humans, were not made by divine command, but shaped by survival and adaptation. He called it natural selection. Those who adapted lived on. Those who didn't vanished. Simple, cold, and terrifying. It stripped away the illusion that humans were separate from animals. It placed us back into the grand, endless web of life. When On the Origin of Species finally appeared in 1859, the world trembled. Some called it blasphemy. Others called it genius. Churches thundered from their pulpits that Darwin had declared war on God. Scholars debated, philosophers pondered, and the public was both fascinated and afraid. Darwin himself stayed away from the noise, too gentle for confrontation. But his allies, like Thomas Huxley, took up the fight. In halls packed with believers and skeptics, Huxley thundered, "I would rather be descended from an ape than from a man who uses his intellect to destroy truth." Darwin watched from a distance as his idea spread like wildfire. Letters poured in, some filled with gratitude, others with hate. He suffered quietly, his health failing, his body weakened by the years of anxiety and work. Yet, beneath the pain, he felt a strange peace, the peace of a man who had uncovered something vast and undeniable. Years later, sitting in his garden at Down House, Darwin watched his children play among the flowers. The wind moved through the trees, bees danced over blossoms, and the endless rhythm of life pulsed all around him. He thought of the islands, the birds, the fossils, the chain of evidence that led him here. He realized that his dangerous idea was not meant to destroy belief, but to awaken understanding. Life was not a frozen miracle. It was a living, breathing process, always changing, always adapting. Humans were part of that story, not the end of it. He smiled faintly, whispering to himself, "It is not the strongest who survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change." And with that quiet thought, Darwin's dangerous idea became the foundation of modern science, an idea that forever changed how humanity saw itself and how we understood our place in the great, evolving story of life.